and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
Mosaic is a nonprofit, whole-person healthcare organization that embraces God's call and relentlessly pursues opportunities that empower people with diverse needs to live their best lives. Mosaic in Southeast Nebraska, serving Lincoln and Beatrice, would like to invite you to their monthly Discover the Possibilities tour events. Events are held on the third Wednesday of every month and are a great way to understand Mosaic's mission. To RSVP, please contact Melindy at 402-429-0088 or visit mosaicinfo.org/Southeast Nebraska.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Empower a life today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Change is only a conversation away when you choose to share your wisdom, time, and heart with a young mind. Together, we can craft a brighter future, one child at a time. Ignite a spark of hope and be someone's guiding light. Find out more about becoming a mentor by visiting teammates.org. Become a beacon of change by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Erick Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
That's right. We are back at it on a Monday. I'm Austin Norman, joined by the Husker Hall of Famer, the 9-year NBA vet, the man on the road, still tapping in, Erick Strickland. Stricky baby, what's going on? How's your weekend, my friend?
It's going good so far, man. Having a good weekend. I'm feeling good. The weather is starting to come around. It's going to be in the 70s, 80s, man. So, yeah, man, it's going to get into the 70s and lower 80s in the next few days. So it's going to be really good. It's great preparation for my mind as I'm getting ready to head on this long flight shortly.
For sure. We're lucky. We're seeing 60s by the end of the week, Stricky. So we're pretty happy about that up here.
Oh, yeah.
So we are definitely excited to see that. It's nice enough today in the low to mid 40s. I think it might be creeping up to 50. But speaking of numbers creeping up, scoring in the NBA, we will get to that in hour number 2. You see the look on Stricky's face if you're on any of our streams, thanks to Sartor Heyman Jewelers for sponsoring that, or Allo for Channel 961. Scoring's up, Stricky, in regular season games, in all-star games. I can tell by the look on your face you're not pleased about it, but if you can bottle up that fury, definitely keep that for hour number 2. If you've got any thoughts on anything we're talking about throughout the show, let us know, 402-464-5685. But also trending up, Strick, Nebraska women's basketball this year. The Huskers get a road win over the weekend. They go to West Lafayette and they knock off Purdue 77-65, the final. At home, again, we talk about how tough it is to win on the road. The only teams that had gone on the road and beaten a pretty average Purdue team on the road were the top teams in the league: Indiana, Iowa, and Ohio State. Those are teams 1, 2, and 3 in the Big Ten standings. Well, guess what? Team number 4 in the Big Ten women's basketball standings, Nebraska, goes and does the same. First of all, Strick, what a response to getting blown out by Ohio State on the road. The women go to West Lafayette. They put together a solid performance. Well, we'll talk about the stars that did it. But Strick, don't look now. Nebraska women's basketball in position to have a double bye in the Big Ten conference tournament. That'd be a big deal.
Yeah, it could absolutely be a huge deal for the program, for the team. Anytime you get a chance to get great positioning in the tournament and get through a few of those games, if you can just play great basketball, solid basketball, and you don't have to do anything special, you're probably going to be a little bit more talented than the other group. So you just got to outwork them, you've got to outscrap them, you got to out-hustle them. But to get a better look at a team at the NCAA tournament, or even in whether it be NCAA or conference tournament, those buys help out tremendously. And so I think putting themselves in that position is going to be great for them. But they've got some things that they've got to deal with, and I don't know if we'll talk about it today or this week, but there's some other things that you hope pull you together as opposed to pulling you apart. That's why you don't ever want scandals. This is why sometimes people don't throw fodder out there or have any types of issues or circumstances that are, whether it be internally or externally, going on that they don't want to deal with. When you're dealing with that time, you want to keep your focus on the task and not have to dredge up or bring up anything that you have problems with. We saw that happen with Northwestern, right? With Northwestern, it pulled them together. With others, it pulled them apart. Probably Michigan State fell a little bit apart with some of it, but whether they were good with Coach Tucker or not, we don't know. But we've seen it work both ways in different instances.
We absolutely have. We'll mention the news of the day at the very end of this segment. We won't jump off into a discussion about it, but we'll let people know here in just a minute. Back to the Purdue game here, Strick. In the schedule, first of all, Nebraska's got 3 games left in conference play on the women's side, all against teams below it in the standings, all against teams that are below 500. So the Huskers will come home for 2 games. Tomorrow night, they host Northwestern. On Saturday, they host Minnesota. That'll be senior night. And then their final game of the regular season will be on Sunday, March 3rd. So they'll have a full week off, basically, between playing Minnesota at home and going to Illinois. None of these teams are very good, Stricky. Illinois 6-8, 12-12 overall. You look at Northwestern, who's 3-11 in the conference, 8-17. Minnesota right in the middle, 5-9, 15-10. Those teams have given Nebraska fits. They're not going to be cakewalks necessarily. But Strick, everything is set up for this team to take care of business, get that double bye, and that's huge. The reason that we're talking about this win streak is because it's a big deal. Nebraska goes on the road. They win by a dozen points. And the stars were stars. Let's talk about the 2020 game. Not Vision, but 20 points, 21 rebounds from the daughter of a guy you're familiar with. Alexis Markowski goes off in her game against Purdue. Jazz Shelley, 18, 8 and 8 as well. Strick, when we get down to the end of the regular season, we get into postseason play, I think there are two arguments that go hand in hand. One of them is you need your role players to step up. People are game planning for stars. They know their tendencies. They can really drill down on those top players. So role players have to step up. But alongside that, your best players have to be better than the other team's game plan, right? We've seen an up and down season from both Markowski and Shelley. Some nights they're huge. Other nights they fade into the background. We'll talk about that on the men's side too. But we've seen what the role players can do for Nebraska, Strick. But to see Markowski and Shelley combine for 38 points, almost 30 rebounds and double-digit assists between them, that's a huge deal if Nebraska women's basketball's two biggest stars are going to play like that.
Yeah, consistency is the key, and you want consistency from your best players, right? Mm-hmm. It's okay if they have an off night, but it depends on their shooting volume. Whatever their shooting volumes are, that's where you're gonna have the issue if it ultimately comes down to it. If your shooting volumes are high and you're not getting production, but then you're not doing other things, defending, rebounding, securing the 50-50 balls, and you're not doing those type of things, then you're probably going to come up short. What they did on the road, they played solid. They had good games out of their best players. You see the efficiency. Obviously, Alexis Markowski, 9 for 18 in her shooting. Again, 21 rebounds is absolutely phenomenal, but she goes for 20. You saw the good things of what you need to do in those situations. Turnovers, low, right? Sometimes Nebraska has a struggle in that area. So that's an issue. But then you have Logan Nisley, who steps up. So it's good to have that extra person kind of step up. Even though Jazz Shelley didn't have a shoot the ball as far as volume wise, but she got to the free throw line where she was 10 for 10. And there's where your stuff is. But on top of that, she also had 6 assists. And so she's dropping dimes. So like if Alexis Markowski is going to struggle on the shooting department, she wants her numbers to be just a little bit lower. But you want them rebounds to stay high. You want maybe block shots to be high. And then if you have somebody to step up, you want it to look like Logan Nisley, right? That's where you want your step ups to be.
So looking at the box score as well, Strick, 8 different players score. That's good depth. That's pretty good balance. More importantly, 9 different players have a rebound, right? Nebraska has pretty good size. They match up pretty well across the board. But we've talked about this, regardless of the basketball team we're talking about, unless you have like Dennis Rodman or Andre Drummond, it takes 1 through 5 rebounding effort. To see every, player for Nebraska, all 9 of them, grab a rebound, that tells me that's a group that's locked in on the little things, which is what you have to be come tournament time, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it was absolute total domination, especially on the rebound side of things, where they didn't give up many offensive rebounds, only 5. And then they dominated by getting 10 themselves. So they beat them in double-digit numbers as far as the rebound margin and held them defensively down. So if they're not going to shoot well, secure the rebounds, they did that. They did everything across the board for the most part, winning all of their differentials as far as getting them and propelling them for this road win.
Absolutely. We mentioned the news of the day. We'll give it a quick mention here. Former Husker women's basketball player Ashley Scoggin has filed a lawsuit against the University of Nebraska. Still waiting on a lot of information and details to come out. Just know that that's what's in the hopper. He's Strick. I'm Austin. When we get back, we'll talk about another Husker basketball win, this time the men against Penn State. Not a thing of beauty in the first half, much better second half from the Huskers. We'll get the Husker Hall of Famers' thoughts on Nebraska's dominating win over Penn State when we get back on the block.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all. O Street Carpet. 1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
Introducing The Outlet by Sartor Heyman. The Outlet brings you luxurious Sartor Heyman quality jewelry at unbeatable prices. Shop our expansive inventory of overstocked merchandise and a vast estate collection that just hasn't found its home yet. This is your chance to own stunning designer jewelry at a fraction of the cost. Elevate your style at The Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Downtown at 12th and O or online at sartorheyman.com.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with 4 Lincoln locations, but now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios at 1040 O Street.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
The first and only African-American male to win the U.S. Open and Wimbledon, champion tennis player Arthur Ashe was denied entry to South Africa in 1969.
The law is the law and I cannot play. So I drive away from that with my coach, knowing that the only reason I could not play was because I was black.
We salute star athlete and fighter for justice, Arthur Ashe, during Black History Month.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back here on the block, Austin Norman, Erick Strickland with you. It's the Husker Hoops Hour. We just talked about the Husker women's team's road win over Purdue. Shocker, shocker, the men won at home, right? It's what they do. 8 wins in conference play, all at home. 7 losses, all on the road. We'll get to that later today or tomorrow for sure. But it was a 68-49 win for the Husker men over Penn State at home. I was there, Stricky. I was a little nervous in that first half. It felt like a typical Nebraska-Penn State game where it wasn't exactly a thing of beauty. Nebraska wasn't playing great. Penn State wasn't playing great, but was hanging around. And Strick, I was worried that if that continued, Nebraska was going to, suffer a bad loss at home, which the Huskers absolutely can't afford to do. They got the act together, got tighter with the ball in the second half en route to a 19-point win. Watching from a distance, what were your takeaways from this one?
I mean, that's what I would have said as well. I look at it from the standpoint of doing what you're supposed to do. I mean, we can go back to the beginning of our time together where we talked about the season and the upcoming season and what was going to what we're hoping for. I will say a few things are coming into play right now as we close out the season. One of them is take care of home. That's one of the things that I've always, just really talked about is taking care of home and go get a few on the road. I mean, it's tough to have a complete 180 turnaround in everything that you are as a team, as a program. It's really tough to do that. So the fact I said focus on home, they've done that. Mm-hmm. The second thing is putting them in a position to be out of the first night game, where you then would have to play 5 games in order to get a championship.
Yeah.
Get out of that. So at least minimum get under into the 10, underneath 10 in that middle range group. But they're teetering at possibly the 4 spot. But then the last part about this, Austin, is think of how bad it could have went if they lost this game. This was an important game for both teams. Like it wasn't like Penn State, I can assure you, didn't come in just saying, well, we're hoping to get no. I think they were coming in understanding where they were in the standings and how one loss from where this middle of the pack, I don't even know what to call it, like a trash compactor or, like how, how the trash compactor thing just pulls everything together and there's this big hump. That's what it is, man. It's a big hump of a blob of teams just sitting right there, and one loss one way or a couple losses the other. Look at what happened with Wisconsin. Just how fast that can happen for a team. They have enough in the bank that they're holding on right there, but everybody's just bundled up right there at a spot that a couple of wins, a little run, a 4-game win streak can literally propel you into a beautiful position for the end of the season. That's where they're at. So looking at this game, I knew the importance of it. Yes, it was back and forth. But then all of a sudden, Nebraska caught wind, caught fire, and started hitting shots, started attacking. You knew the defense was going to be there. I think they were a little bit smarter on that. Yes, they had some turnovers. And the focus of their energy was on Ace Baldwin. Shout out to Hoiberg and Bryce and those guys that really, for the most part throughout that game, Ace Baldwin didn't really get going until probably 6 minutes or 5 minutes left in the game. So that was a key for them in pulling out this victory, and especially doing it the way that they did.
Scoreless for the first 24 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
That's a really good effort for a guy that was the leading scorer in uniform for Penn State. Kanye Clary did not make the trip to Lincoln. It came out today that he is no longer with Penn State's team. So that makes Ace Baldwin Jr. the leading scorer on the year for Penn State. Again, doesn't score for the first 24 minutes of the game, but also alongside that, Strick, he wasn't allowed to dictate the game, right? Because not only can Ace Baldwin Jr., fill it up, he's the former Atlantic 10 Defensive Player of the Year. He can be disruptive on that end. And even if he's not scoring, we know he can create for others, getting downhill, setting other players up. He only had on the day 2 assists, right?
5 steals, though. So you were right on that other part of it. 5 steals. That's like, golly.
And most of those were in the first half, Strick. I thought Nebraska's handle was really loose. Like they struggled with the ball handling. Their arms were out, trying to dribble out here. They didn't catch passes cleanly, and Ace Baldwin took advantage of that. Had a fast break layup, erased on a block and good transition defense. But Nebraska took Penn State's best player out of the game in the first half. He didn't get going until it was too late for them. And part of that, to me, Strick, came from the tempo and the pace that Nebraska played with out of halftime. You hold Ace Baldwin scoreless for 20 minutes, you're like, okay, he's going to come out with a vengeance. He's going to come out fired up, ready to go. But Nebraska matched Penn State and exceeded them. They had that run to start the second half. They forced the timeout from Penn State when they get the lead up to 13 points, ultimately extend it to 22 points at one point, 55-33, I think the biggest lead was. Strick, the last few games, we've seen Nebraska respond really well out of the halftime locker room. What do you attribute that to?
Learning. You know what I'm saying? It's like AI. You hopefully will be able to take into account the losses and take into account the mistakes and take into account the issues and learn. I talked about that by way of the analogy of that movie War Games, of how the AI system just kind of was taking the losses and seeing the losses and was ultimately learning each step of the way. That's what Nebraska's done. I think they've learned. I think they've grown. I think the lessons that they learned early on with the Minnesotas and those type of games, going on the road and being inefficient, it's a lot of that stuff that happened throughout the season. I think they've learned from it. Now, here's why. One lesson that they've learned is resilience. They've learned how to, a little bit better on how to break the other team's runs. What they need to do, how they need to execute, how crisp they need to be to stop a run. Like Penn State had a run, it was like, ooh, like the energy was looking funny. Like it was like, ooh, they about to seriously make a run. They were about to put it under double digits, and then boom, right back. K-State, bam, 3. You know what I mean? Like, and then go down low, rank, boom. They knew what to do in order to cancel that run. That's what they've got to continue to do throughout the season and the rest of the season as well. Now they've got to take what you just saw that transpired against Penn State, go on the road and duplicate. They've got to get into duplication, take that same energy, because you see the energy was phenomenal. The dive on the floor. When you saw Bryce in the early stages of the game dive on the floor, for those players, Bryce diving on the floor like that early on in the game, that's huge for them. And I think that's something that, began to spiral into each of the team.
Right. And that's one thing when like Josiah or Sam dives on the floor, but that's what they do. Bryce diving on the floor was big. We'll circle back to that Casey shot because I think that was maybe the key moment in the game. But Strick, when we talk about leadership for this team, showing that emotion in moments, Rink Mast had that one-handed dunk, right? He's jumping up and down and pointing to the bench. In the moment, it felt a little cheesy. Like, okay, Rink, you've dunked before. You're up double digits. This game's pretty well in hand. What are you doing? But as I stepped back, Strick, the more I like Rink Mast doing that. He's not a guy that shows a lot of that emotion, right? The crowd had been kind of out of it. So yeah, even if it was a little cheesy and a little bit over the top and a little, haha, yeah, roll your eyes, to me, that's growth in leadership. Rink Mast sensing that maybe there needed to be some more emotion in the building. And even if it was just a chuckle, I think it reset the energy in a small moment like that. And that's another area I think we see growth in Rink Mast.
No doubt about it. And they, I still love that they're being efficient as far as running. It's like they're starting to figure out like what the offense can do for them. And then they're starting to throw these little wrinkles in the offense that looks like what it probably looked like earlier in the season or on scouting tapes and stuff like that. And they throw a little wrinkle. So it's the same action, but there's a little wrinkle in it because a lot of they did something in this game too. I mean, you normally see them in their out of bounds plays getting like CJ or somebody coming off, and they got that off. Then teams started to figure that out. Then they started to switch it up. They got Gary on a couple of buckets on the out of bounds play. And then on another play, it was well run. I think coming out of a timeout, they used a different combination of players, got a backdoor cut for a layup. And I think, again, it was for Juwan Gary. So they're starting to throw these little wrinkles in there. And I think the timing for those are perfect.
I loved that out of bounds play that ended up in the lob for Juwan Gary. It's Keisei setting a back screen, a quick inbound to Rink, and then the lob, right? That's a pretty quick hitter. The threat of Keisei Tominaga is a shooter. Like, you can't leave him when he's screening because you know he's going to pop and he's dangerous with the ball in his hands. So the creativity is good to see. And I'm glad we circled back to Keisei. You brought up that three-pointer that he hit, Strick. Nebraska had turned it over a couple times against Penn State's, three-quarter court, slow the game down, disrupt rhythm sort of pressure. I thought Nebraska did a pretty good job of not dribbling the corners and getting trapped. They didn't force too many passes. CJ had his pocket picked once, but Penn State starts making that run. A couple of 6-0 runs in there, interrupted by 2 points from Nebraska. It's 12-2, gets the lead down from 22 points down to 12 points. Nebraska's still pretty much in control, up 12 with 5.5 minutes to go. You feel okay. If Keisei Tominaga misses that shot, I think Penn State cuts that down to 5 or 6 points. But that's a great sense of the moment, a great job by Rink Mass to pop to where he could relieve that pressure from that top corner, find the shooter for a step-in three. If it's Keisei or CJ Wilcher, I feel good about that shot going down, but that was perfect. Even Bryce.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel good about Bryce taking that too. Good, go ahead.
I just thought that was a really good job of handling the pressure. It was the right players at the right spots in the right moment. If Keisei doesn't hit that, it gets dicey. But I felt much better seeing Keisei shoot that like, oh, okay. And then as soon as it went down, it's boom. Nebraska's got this. There's Penn State's run. They withstood it. What's the final score going to be?
And there it is. And then they go off to make their own little run. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to lie to you, Austin. I really like this team. I think this team, here's where I can tell you, because I've had a few discussions with Jamarcus Lawrence, just in passing. And I told him, I said, listen, Jamarcus, I understand what you're going through. I understand the position you are in because I also had to do the same thing. But I'll tell you, man, just figure out how to aggressively stay aggressive in what you do, get to certain spots and practice those. And just when you get there, that's your stuff. You can see him being a little bit more aggressive in moments. And I think that's still good for him. He's still not fully there yet, but it's going to keep his mindset from not being tentative when they need him to be aggressive. You saw him, how effective he is in his push and probe. He's probably the best on the team at this point of pushing the tempo, getting deep, and now he's just got to finish, which he was able to get a couple in this game. So that's what I want to see from him. Now, there's not going to be anybody to save them this year, but I still like this team. I still like how they use the system that they have in order to give them an opportunity to win games. But until they get a traditional point guard in there to kind of understand time, score, situation, when they need to settle in, what play at this time can get us what we need in order to push a lead, get us back into the game, or to settle things down. Like there's got to be something going in your head as a point guard that tells you these different times throughout the game, and they happen. And you've got to be an extended arm of Fred Hoiberg in understanding that. When he says something, okay, I got it. Or something, and you see something, you can tweak it. So there's where that point guard can be that. And I just don't think they have that yet. It's going to probably affect them in tournament play. But right now, we don't care about that. They're having a great season, and this is a great team.
Absolutely. The one thing I'll add on Jamarcus Lawrence was he hit a couple of your stop and pop middies, right?
Yeah.
In transition, he found the time, he found the situation for it, made his first two, he pulled up for a third one, and Fred Hoiberg, I think, viewed that as an opportunity to run some clock, to get into some action. So what Fred Hoiberg did was at the next media timeout, he talked to Jamarcus on his own, kind of outside of the huddle as everyone else was getting going. My first thought was, he's going to pull Jamarcus. That was a bad shot. They've probably talked about that. He's going to the bench. Jamarcus was right back out there on the court after the timeout, right? So I love that from Fred Hoiberg. Talk the guy through it. He knows what he did right. He knows what he did wrong. Let him play through it. That's really what Jamarcus needs at this point in those moments, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great coachable moments. And then it's great confidence for the player to from the coach to show him that I care. I want you to grow, but grow and learn from these situations that we continuously discuss.
68-49, Nebraska gets the win over Penn State. They are currently at 8-7 in Big Ten conference play. They sit in 6th place, a game back of Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Northwestern. Half a game up on Minnesota. What do you got, Stricky?
Man, did you just be honest? Looking at where we are right now, could you envision us being right here? What was your your honest thoughts on what you perceived coming into the season and where we are right now?
I think Nebraska's maybe a game or two ahead of where I thought they'd be. You know, I said if you can get to 500 in conference play, that's probably a step in the right direction. But Strick, now if Nebraska finishes 500 in conference play, it's almost a letdown, right? The fact that they're still in the conversation to get the double bye, it's set up for them, right? They should be favored in all 5 of their remaining games. Maybe Wednesday they're not favored, but Nebraska should be the better team or have some advantage these last 5 games, which means everything is on the table for this team. Getting to 10 in conference was a good step. I kind of figured Nebraska would be in the mix from, team 10 to maybe team 5 at the higher end. They're in that glut of teams right now, right? They've been above 500. They've dropped below. They've sprung back above 500. But from where I thought this team would be at the beginning of the season, I'll give them credit for being a half a step or a step ahead of where I thought they'd be at this point.
So in essence, basically, you felt that they would be a better road team than they are, because I'm sure you didn't expect them to be 13 and 15-1 at home?
Mm-hmm.
Is it
correct?
15? Mm-hmm. I'm sure you didn't expect that. Be honest.
No, I mean, I'm not shocked they beat Wisconsin, right? The Wisconsin we're seeing now is closer to the Wisconsin I thought we'd see all season, but I wouldn't have predicted a Penn State or a Purdue win, right? I thought Nebraska would have, dropped one of these other games at home for some dumb reason. The Creighton loss is tough the way it happened, but we knew Creighton was good coming into the year. So yeah, I think as I look at the overall record, it seems about right, maybe a game or two early, but I also expected to maybe not let a lead slip away at Minnesota or Rutgers and then have a stinker at home once.
There you go. Okay. Love it. Good stuff.
So yeah, Nebraska 8-7 in conference.
I would love to know the fans. I mean, the listeners, not fans. I mean, you guys aren't fans. You guys are family. Not fans, family. 402-464-5685. I really would. I really would love to hear your thoughts on that as far as how you really felt about Nebraska. Because Austin, let me be honest. Some of them was talking crazy to me on the text. This is why I want to really hear what they got to say. Austin, some of them was talking crazy to me, like, "Oh, you drinking the Kool-Aid?" Because I've been to the practices, I seen it. Like I'm like, well, they're moving a little bit different than what I maybe have seen of the past teams. I love the way that they was moving the ball. I was liking the way that they played D. And when I saw it, Austin, they came back at me like, "Oh, you drinking the Kool-Aid? Oh, they terrible. Woo. Oh, get rid of Fred Hoiberg. Oh, I was hearing all this stuff." And I'm like, "No, man. I mean, I think y'all might be overstepping a little bit. They're a little better than what you think." So this is why I'm saying this now. And I want y'all to be honest, because y'all was going in on Stricky.
Talk to Stricky. Give that man his credit. Text line, comment section on the streams. Let us know, how is Nebraska doing relative to your preseason expectations? Give us your comments. We'll wrap up hour 1 of On the Block with that here in just a second.
Oh, real quick, Austin.
Whole person healthcare organization that embraces God's call and relentlessly pursues opportunities that empower people with diverse needs to live their best lives. Mosaic in Southeast Nebraska, serving Lincoln and Beatrice, would like to invite you to their monthly Discover the Possibilities tour events. Events are held on the third Wednesday of every month and are a great way to understand Mosaic's mission. To RSVP, please contact Melindy at 402-429-0088 or visit mosaicinfo.org/Southeast Nebraska.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Tune in to the Malone Radio Show from 9 to 10 p.m. every Sunday night to learn more about the Malone Center's goal to eliminate multi-generational poverty in Lincoln. It's the Malone Radio Show every Sunday night from 9 to 10 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you in the market for a new garage door or need to repair your old one? It's wintertime, and that means snow, wind, and freezing temperatures, all things that can cause sticky locks and damage to your garage door. If you're experiencing any issues with your commercial or residential garage door during the winter months, call Cameron Hall and his team at Doors Plus. Don't be trapped outside in the cold because of a poorly maintained garage door. Call Doors Plus today at 402-590-5800 or visit them online at doorsplusllc.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Introducing The Outlet by Sartor Heyman. The Outlet brings you luxurious Sartor Heyman quality jewelry at unbeatable prices. Shop our expansive inventory of overstocked merchandise and a vast estate collection that just hasn't found its home yet. This is your chance to own stunning designer jewelry at a fraction of the cost. Elevate your style at The Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Downtown at 12th and O or online at sartorheyman.com.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all. O Street Carpet. 1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with 4 Lincoln locations, but now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios at 1040 O Street.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, and we have some really big savings for you right now. Our new crossover sale is underway. New Terrains, Equinoxes, and Trailblazers starting at $23,290. That's right, $23,290. Also, we've continued our huge Sierra and Silverado truck sale with over $10,000 off new pickups. You heard right, over $10,000 off list. Coppell truly has a small town feel with big city deals. We're right down 144th Street or at CoppellCars.com. Stock numbers G260980 and C119824.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back wrapping up hour one of On the Block. I rudely interrupted my partner, Erick Strickland, going to break. Stricky, sorry to cut you off, my man. What you got for the haters?
No, listen, you didn't do it. You didn't cut Stricky off. We was dipping out real quick, and it's okay. I had a final thought because it was another one that popped into my head right at that moment, and it was this to the listeners. All of you who are tuning in right now, you came at Stricky real hard, especially on this one. You said Rink Mass wouldn't last. Rink Mass wouldn't last in the conference. You said Rink Mass would get dominated, beat up. He ain't the kind of talent. Bradley, boo. I've heard all these comments coming from y'all. Talk to me now. How you feel about Rink Mass? And he's got one more year.
Mm-hmm. That part.
That's all I want to say.
We'll get to the next.
They came at us. They came at us, Austin. Don't lie now. Talk to me.
They know who they are, and they'll hide with their tail between their legs. We'll get you in just a sec, your text line. But to that point on Rink Mass numbers, Strick, he's maybe not finishing as well from two, but maybe that's hampered by the knee injury he suffered early on. He's shooting better from three on slightly higher volume. He's shooting better at the free throw line on similar volume. His rebounds have stayed the same. His assists have ticked up, and even his scoring is right in line with what it was. With 5 games to play, yes, but even if you look at the numbers, you can say the numbers, look similar across the board. And if the numbers look similar when you take a jump from the Missouri Valley to the Big Ten, that probably means you elevated your play a little bit, added something over the offseason in order to keep your numbers the same as at a step higher.
That's a fact. You understood the level in which he was going up to, and you knew you had to put an additional thing into his game. And here's why I know his game is gone to another level. Here's why. He drove into the lane. He took a hard stop, so that's good. The knee is good. The knee is good. Mm-hmm. And he spun around, didn't work, spun again, didn't work, and came back with the jump hook. Bam! Like I'm like, ooh, Rink is added a little something, little shimmy into his game. I like that. And you just love his vision, man. His vision is phenomenal. He sees stuff breaking open and he puts it on a dime to the person to be able to catch it, finish, or do something with it. And it's all out of the cuts. It's making it so difficult for teams when you've got a center that can do that, man. And most people don't. Let's be honest. You go across the landscape of college basketball. I'm telling you, Sunoco and all those, none of them can do that.
No.
None of Klingon, none of them can do what Rink Mass does. None of them.
No.
None of them. And that's what's beautiful about Nebraska style, because it's something unique in the Big Ten that they can grow off of, build off of, recruit to, and also find players out there that are gems with similar skill sets that Rink Mass have. This is their style. This is what it's going to be. I see them maintaining this style going forward under Fred Hoiberg's leadership.
Rink Mass has completed more tight window passes and thrown more guys open this season than I think Nebraska football quarterbacks have in the last 3 or 4 years. It's kind of crazy, the vision, the anticipation, the timing, the touch on some of these passes from Rink Mass that have led to open layups, that have led to open 3-pointers. So I'm absolutely with you. I think Nebraska has found something that works that other teams in the conference haven't, fully figured out how to adapt to. John and Cortland, Notorious BIB 2605. Thanks for chiming in. This will end us off for this hour, Strick. Sean says, as a hardcore Husker fan, I'm always cautiously optimistic, but this team has exceeded expectations. You always worry how new guys will mesh. As we've seen, it doesn't always work. Now I hope they can finish. The best part of this is the fact that Fred Hoiberg will continue to be the coach. I think he's absolutely our best option, and that this team is the one that keeps him around. Thanks for chiming in, Sean.
I like that. Well said. And it's okay because we've been let down before. You know what I'm saying? Austin, we've been let down. I mean, it's dang near at some points worse than the Cowboys. I mean, they build you up to break you down, right?
Seriously.
They have the kind of years that they have, and then all of a sudden they get beat at home, by a team that there's no way they should have showed up and beat them, But this team has been it's been fun to watch, right? Like this team has been fun. I used to have these moments like, dang, I got to go to the game. But I actually look forward to kind of going to the game now. It's actually fun to watch. It's a good style.
It absolutely is. And again, 18 wins. They've improved their win total over the last 3 seasons. That's something to hang the hat on. I'm glad you brought up the Cowboys. That's where we're going next. NFL free agency. Who are some of the top guys out there on the market? There's a lot of them. We go through a list of the top guys on offense and defense. Plenty more NFL headlines to get to lead off hour 2 of On the Block. And then you won't want to miss it. Stricky's going to go off. I can just sense it in his voice. I can see it in his eyes about NBA All-Star Weekend. All that and more comes ahead in hour 2 of On the Block.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in the winter, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues begin in February. Get signed up today. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex at West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf. Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine. Mosaic is a nonprofit, whole-person healthcare organization that embraces God's call and relentlessly pursues opportunities that empower people with diverse needs to live their best lives. Mosaic in Southeast Nebraska, serving Lincoln and Beatrice, would like to invite you to their monthly Discover the Possibilities tour events. Events are held on the 3rd Wednesday of every month and are a great way to understand Mosaic's mission. To RSVP, please contact Melindy at 402-429-0088 or visit mosaicinfo.org/Southeast Nebraska.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
The first and only African-American male to win the U.S. Open and Wimbledon, champion tennis player Arthur Ashe was denied entry to South Africa in 1969.
The law is the law and I cannot play. So I drive away from that with my coach, knowing that the only reason I could not play was because I was black.
We salute star athlete and fighter for justice, Arthur Ashe, during Black History Month.
Empower a life today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Change is only a conversation away when you choose to share your wisdom, time, and heart with a young mind. Together, we can craft a brighter future, one child at a time. Ignite a spark of hope and be someone's guiding light. Find out more about becoming a mentor by visiting teammates.org. Become a beacon of change by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and we have some really big savings for you right now. Our new crossover sale is underway. New Terrains, Equinoxes, and Trailblazers starting at $23,290. That's right, $23,290. Also, we've continued our huge Sierra and Silverado truck sale with over $10,000 off new pickups. You heard right, over $10,000 off list. Koppel truly has a small town feel with big city deals. We're right down 144th Street or at KoppelCars.com. Stock numbers G260980 and C119824.
Are you in the market for a new garage door or need to repair your old one? It's wintertime, and that means snow, wind, and freezing temperatures. All things that can cause sticky locks and damage to your garage door. If you're experiencing any issues with your commercial or residential garage door during the winter months, call Cameron Hall and his team at Doors Plus. Don't be trapped outside in the cold because of a poorly maintained garage door. Call Doors Plus today at 402-590-5800 or visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest, quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Erick Strickland. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Once again, we're back on the block. Strick and Austin Orman, always here 2 to 4 every day. Monday, well, not every day, Monday through Friday. But you can find us right here on all the streaming platforms, as well as Allo, channel 961 is where you can tap in if you just want to be sitting at home on your couch. Bop, pop a button, bop, there we are. All of the 937 Ticket family can be found there as well. We appreciate it to all of our sponsors. Mary Ellen's especially one of those. But we're going to get into some NFL talk because it has begun. Free agency is here. And we're going to talk about some of the top free agents that are available, probably top 25. We won't get to all of them. We would love your thoughts if you want to tap in as well. 402-464-5685. We thank you, though, for those who just, in the last rant and raid that I just had against those who were coming at Stricky and Austin about the Nebraska men's basketball team, that's where you can find it as well if you want to join into the conversation. But now, the NFL free agency and offseason. There's a few players out there. There's a few big names. There's a few names that people are wondering whether or not they'll land the big deal once again. But we'll start on this list and we'll talk about the recent champions. The Kansas City Chiefs, once again, are crowned champions of the NFL. And one of their big champions is named Chris Jones, a defensive lineman who made probably the biggest play. It was a Matador situation. I ain't gonna say it's it was a big bull coming. His name is Chris Jones. It was a big bull coming, and the Matador had the red cape with the red uniform going by him, just real easy there for the biggest play in the Super Bowl night, because that game possibly would have went the other way if he doesn't make that play. Now, Chris Jones, where do you think? I mean, look, big money there in Kansas City. Can they even retain another big name? They wasn't able to get Tyreek Hill because of this. Now Chris Jones comes available. He was one of the ones that made one of the biggest plays, but now he's a free agent. What does Kansas City do?
Kansas City needs a Chris Jones type player. He wrecks games when he's at his best. He either is about to be 30 or is 30 years old. And that's still plenty young, Strick. I feel like Chris Jones has been around for such a long time. I thought he was, 32, 33. Yeah. And I can understand Kansas City not wanting to give him, super long-term money. But Chris Jones will probably want 4 or 5 years. I think if I'm Kansas City, I don't want any more than 4. And I'm most comfortable with a 2 or 3 year deal, even if the money is, pretty substantial in terms of the average value of those years. Because of what Chris Jones does, right? He rushes the passer. He's pretty good against the run. You can kick him outside. You can bring him back inside where he's probably better. Clearly an emotional leader for that team as well, right? I think there are some intangible benefits from Chris Jones. I know Kansas City weathered his holdout pretty well before they got him to camp and got him in shape. But I still think, especially if this is a team that's going to have to lean on the defense for another year or two to bring some younger wide receivers along, letting a guy like Chris Jones go would be hard. Now, the interesting part of the negotiations for me, Strick, is Chris Jones's time on the mic in the championship parade. When he says, for everyone that thinks, my time in Kansas City's up or thinks that Kansas City should get rid of me, I'm not going anywhere. That is tremendous pressure on Kansas City. That is tremendous pressure on his agent to get a deal done. I don't think Chris Jones is, all about the money, but he deserves a bag. He's done a good job of working with Kansas City and vice versa to make sure he gets paid. There might still be one really big paycheck left in Chris Jones. Kansas City shouldn't, just give him whatever he wants, right? They've got to be smart. They're up against the cap pretty well, but they would be wise to do everything in their power to make sure they at least negotiate with Chris Jones and do everything they can to try to get to a fair amount of years and money for both sides.
Yeah. So here's what you have, right? Most of the big money when you're talking about these types of players, right? Most of the big money is in the defensive end position, right? That's usually where it's at, because outside of that, a lot of these guys, and the only one that's comparable, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know if he's Aaron Donald-ish, but I do think he's a huge disruptor, right? Aaron Donald at 31 has a 3-year contract at a value of like $95 million. He got a $25 million signing bonus. He's looking at about 46.5 of it guaranteed. And that's at 31 years old. Chris Jones with that team, and they've minimized the abilities for them to be creative. Like, remember in the past, like they this new collective bargaining agreement that they just did, like, eliminated some of the creative things that the Rams were able to do in order to even make that happen with Aaron Donald. So a lot of those players at the defensive tackle position, the only ones that you can talk about at the age, the rest of them are all young. The big money, none of them reach over 100 million, but they're close. Aaron Donald and Javon Hargrave, and guess where he plays for? He's already secured his. So here's where they're going to be able to work off of the number that, as an agent, they would be able to do with Chris Jones.
Absolutely. And Chris Jones is going to be worth pretty much whatever the Chiefs pay him. I feel pretty confident in saying that, because no quarterback likes pressure up the middle. You can find a replacement level, run stopper or a guy to eat up double teams pretty much anywhere. But if you have disruption up the middle, that's a game changer, Strick. So to see Chris Jones negotiate will be interesting. You look at Christian Wilkins from Miami as well, generally thought of as a top 10, top 15 free agent in this class. 9 sacks in a contract year for Miami, a big part of what they did defensively. And even the next wave, if you look at a Jalen Carter in Philly, a Quinnen Williams, who had a really good year for the New York Jets, those guys and their agents are watching how these negotiations with Chris Jones and Christian Wilkins go to figure out their plan of attack here in a couple of years.
Great point. Great point. We're going to skip over one. I mean, I like Josh Allen in his situation, especially coming off a 17.5 sack. But I want to move to this one because what we've seen with this particular player that I want to talk about out of the Cincinnati Bengals, because they've got a big decision to make, and that's T. Higgins. T. Higgins he exploded onto the scene. He could definitely be a number one for a lot of different teams, but he's had a rough season this season. Numbers down tremendously. 656 yards, 76 targets, but only 42 catches and 5 TDs. To become a number one for somebody, those numbers don't seem to be mathing right, but we do know that there's been injuries. But here's the thing. I don't think Cincinnati can retain him, but how does he fare in the marketplace if he decides to jump out there and really try to get the bag for himself and secure it?
T. Higgins, I think, is going to get receiver like 1.5 money, right? Maybe he can be a receiver 1 for a team, but he hasn't had to for Cincinnati, given Jamar Chase, even, Tyler Boyd to some degree. T. Higgins is talented. He's athletic. He can run. He can make contested catches, can do enough after the catch. But it's the durability, Strick, right? If you're going to give a guy wide receiver 1 money, which is creeping up there, right? Wide receivers are getting paid more and more. I don't think T. Higgins is Justin Jefferson level. I don't think he's A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams level. He's really good, and he can be a team's number 1 receiver. But I think if you can pair him with someone, right, where you have a Tyreek Hill to double on one side and give T. Higgins single coverage, that'll obviously help his numbers. And he's just one receiver, right? There's a whole host of interesting guys, because I'll flip this question around to you, Strick. I'll give you 3 options for a number 1 receiver. Which one do you take? T. Higgins, Mike Evans, or Michael Pittman Jr.? All 3 of them are free agents this year. No team's going to be able to get 2 of those guys. So if you're a GM, which one of those guys are you targeting to be your wide receiver 1 for next year?
Listen, I'm not going to knock down Evans in his tremendous career. There's been injuries. I think he's been one of the most consistent guys out there that has really still been able to put up numbers. He's not a burner. He's not going to blow the top off of you. He's going to run good routes. He's going to moss you, meaning he's going to be able to go up and get balls on you. But he's just going to be solid. I don't know if he's going to be the guy that I would want this late to be trying to pay. I would be hoping for the upside of a T. Higgins, to be honest. He's young. I think I can get him at a bargain rate because I can negotiate the fact that his numbers are not where I would like it to be. But I'm hoping I can get him on a bargain as opposed to having to try to pay him big top receiver numbers because his numbers doesn't show it.
I'm with you on that because I think there are going to be some teams, Strick, that are maybe a year or 2 away from contention that can afford to go get a T. Higgins, right? That can help him grow with their quarterback and develop that relationship. Whereas, obviously, I hope that Indianapolis retains Michael Pittman Jr., but I think he's a plug-and-play piece for a team. I think he can be okay being a number 2. I think he's a good guy with a good head on his shoulders who's had, receiver 1.5 level production with a rotating cast of quarterbacks in Indianapolis. But I also think Michael Pittman Jr. is in a lot of ways younger Mike Evans. I think if you absolutely want to win now, you go pay Mike Evans big money for the next year or 2. He's been pretty durable. He's a walking 1,000-yard, at least 7-8 touchdown sort of guy. I think Michael Pittman Jr. can grow into that. I think he took another step forward this year. So I think he's a nice middle ground between proven commodity and maybe some unrealized upside. Whereas Higgins, I think, is more of the home run swing. Probably the best athlete of the 3 of them, probably the fastest of the 3 of them, but the biggest injury risk as well. So I think different teams are going to view those risk profiles very differently this offseason.
Well stated. Well stated. Well, let's get to the big one here, because this is one of the better probably quarterback drafts that we're going to have. There's going to be a lot of quarterback talent out there. You also next year got a few others that are going to be popping on the scene. Obviously with yours, as well as Shador Sanders, and those guys are going to be coming to the light. But in the meantime, in between time, there's a big guy by the name of Kirk Cousins. Name's very Viking-ish. He's a Viking. He's 36 years old, but he's been really criticized because he's been putting up big numbers in season, and then he gets into the playoffs and boom, crash and burn. He hasn't been able to get it done, but he's a free agent. What type of team would be looking potentially for a Kirk Cousins type player?
I think Kirk Cousins is the ultimate floor raiser. I could see a team like, Seattle picked up Geno's option. I could have seen him out there. I honestly think even like Atlanta, right? If they don't go quarterback in this draft, if they want to give Kirk Cousins a 1-year deal, I think Kirk Cousins would thrive down there in Atlanta with the playmakers. I think Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott are eerily similar in a lot of ways. Dak has more abilities with his legs, but I think with their arms, their passing stats, and some of the decisions they make, they're very comparable. So I think both of those guys have a lot of the similar questions to be answered. And Strick, I don't know about you, I'm not that comfortable giving a 36-year-old quarterback more than like a 2-year deal. I think Kirk Cousins understands the reality of his age, but I also think he's going to push for a 3-year deal. He's been a little banged up over his career, but not terribly so. I would be willing to give Kirk Cousins a couple years if I'm, the Falcons, if I'm trying to think through some other teams. Obviously not Washington, because they'll take one. New England will take a quarterback. The Jets had their chance to trade for him, decided not to do it, even with that expiring contract. Even like Denver, maybe for a year or two. I know they just got rid of a highly priced quarterback in Russell Wilson, but I'm just thinking of like that sort of fit. Even, if Las Vegas was willing to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo, I think Kirk
and that could be possible with this PED situation now, and just hasn't been able to. Yeah.
The other interesting option to me that won't happen, but I would be fascinated to see, what if San Francisco included Brock Purdy in a trade to Minnesota, at one point to get Kirk Cousins? It's too late now with Cousins on the free agent market, but what if you had a more experienced Brock Purdy with maybe a bigger arm in Kirk Cousins? Would he be enough of a difference maker for a team like San Francisco to make you want to pull the trigger on a deal like that?
I mean, your worry is going to be track record. You're a team that feels you're on the verge consistently of breaking through. Now, what type of salary do you want to take back, knowing that you still have available salary due to the fact that Brock Purdy is not yet able to touch big money? So, do you allow him to continue to grow? You look at Brock Purdy and you can at least say, listen, he did everything he was supposed to do in a Super Bowl situation to get you a win. You can't really put it on him. So, So do you want to go after a Kirk Cousins type in order to, solidify a solid guy, has experience, but then his track record in the playoffs has not been good? Do you want to risk that? I think that's what's going to end up coming down the pipeline, is the risk.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that. I do want your opinion on the running backs too, Shrek. It's a really interesting running back free agent class. If you look at the names that are available this offseason,
I know you're going to say Saquon. One.
Yep. He's up there. You have Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, and Tony Pollard. Is it throw your eggs in the Saquon basket, or do you give a guy like Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry a look despite their previous workloads?
So being that the Cowboys are where they are right now, right? You're not upset about Tony Pollard bouncing out.
Right.
You're also in a position where you're like, we're not paying a Saquon or somebody. We know what that looked like with Zeke Elliott. We know how that affected us and how it hindered us. And now we were able to finally get rid of. So teams like that aren't going to be looking in that. Now, I think there are going to be teams that are going to be saying to themselves, we need stability in the run game. But what are we going to risk to pay for it? And that's where the issue, I think, is going to come in when you're dealing in the running back market right now. What are we going to pay for it? It's if you look at from this standpoint also, like, look at Kansas City with the decision that on the defensive side that they've got to make. We're talking about the offensive side, but you still have Ladarius Sneed you have to consider, right? And he was a huge impact on handling Ayuk in the Super Bowl game. He pretty much went everywhere Ayuk had a few situations, but they made tight windows for Brock Purdy that, enabled them to ultimately close out the game when it counted. So here's the thing. I just don't know where the running back market exists for that kind of those money type players like you just listed in Saquon and Henry. Pollard is, I think he's got a manageable contract number that can work for somebody. But Jacobs is somebody who's a beast. If you want a 1-2 combination, if Jacobs is willing, I think there's a team out there that will go with a good 1-2 combination with that type of power in the backfield.
I think Saquon's going to get the biggest money. I think he's probably the best all-around player in that group. I'm curious to see who ends up taking that swing on him. Josh Jacobs.
Would Jacksonville need that type of player?
They wouldn't turn it down. I mean, I like ETN. I think ETN's still got some room to grow. But if they don't believe in him and they cut him loose to go get Saquon, I'm mad about that as a Colts fan, not mad about that as a Jaguars fan. I think Jacobs is the second best guy available. He's younger. I think he can do more out of the backfield. I just keep worrying about Derrick Henry's legs and how many miles are on them with the number of carries and the style of play that Tennessee really leaned on him to get done there for, 3-4 years. I'm worried about Derrick Henry. I think he can help a contender for a year, maybe 2, but I think Derrick Henry's closer to the end than the beginning. And Tony Pollard's the interesting one to me, Strick, because that's a guy that wanted his shot to be running back 1 and kind of stumbled. Didn't fall flat on his face. He was okay, but you saw just how much better he was with a running mate like Ezekiel Elliott. So if I'm Kansas City, I'm taking a look at Tony Pollard as part of a timeshare. If I'm Tony Pollard, I'm looking at my season saying, okay, what's the lesson I learned? I can go be a part of a great running back team. I'll work to improve, but I need to humble myself for this year. Take a 1-year kind of prove it deal that I can be a running back 1. Let me be a team player this year, reestablish some of my value, and see if I can get a big contract after next offseason.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I think one other player before we get out on break that I want to really talk about, because I really have a wonder about him. Did he prove it enough in order to land a good contract, and what type of team could use him, or does he even remain? And that's Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield. Where do you think he flies in this marketplace?
I don't like the position that Baker is in. I'm not going to lie, right? He had one of the better seasons of his career. It would have been curious to see Cleveland stick with him with 2 healthy shoulders to see what would have happened there. Baker Mayfield's good. Baker Mayfield's going to want some pretty big money. I don't know if he deserves it, right? I think he deserves more than he was getting paid this last season. He doesn't deserve max money, though, and I think teams know that. I think Baker's at his best, too, when he's doubted and counted out. What's his mindset? What's his attitude? If Baker wants to be paid like a number 1 quarterback, I mean, he's going to view himself as that number 1 franchise type guy. Drafted as highly as he was, he thrives with that chip on his shoulder. He deserves to be compensated for the work he did in Tampa Bay. I think surpassed a lot of people's expectations. But I think the trend we've seen in Baker Mayfield's career is that if you're a team, pay him fair value, but also how do you motivate him, right? I'm not going to say he's not motivated when he gets the bag, that he, packs it up and doesn't still work hard. But I think any extra motivation you give Baker Mayfield fuels him. So I think he's going to need to go to a team kind of like Tampa Bay that's written off, that's maybe on the rise, that needs a surprise little bit of a spark. Baker Mayfield can't be a savior, but he can be an upgrade for a good number of teams.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's obviously way more that we could get into. It's unfortunately we're up against it. So we tried to hit you with a few of the main players that we thought would be of interest in this space. Who was out there in the market space, in the free agent market, for your favorite team that interests you and how that would look? 402-464-5685. We would love to hear that from you, and maybe we'll be able to discuss a couple of those when we come back and mention them, or throw it to even the Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman, when we get to the crossover. But we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break. 937 The Ticket on the block. We'll be right back after this.
Tune in to the Malone Radio Show from 9 to 10 p.m. every Sunday night to learn more about the Malone Center's goal to eliminate multi-generational poverty in Lincoln. It's the Malone Radio Show every Sunday night from 9 to 10 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Southeast Community College invites you to check out our spaces ahead of your official campus visit. Our virtual campus tours let you see our campuses and learn more about our programs of study. Then you can schedule your individual visit in person or virtually. Virtual tours of our campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, or Milford, and our learning centers are online at southeast.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Wednesday, February 21st versus the Columbus Fury at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 5 p.m. with first serve at 6. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, Go Big Red.
Are you in the market for a new garage door or need to repair your old one? It's wintertime, and that means snow, wind, and freezing temperatures, all things that can cause sticky locks and damage to your garage door. If you're experiencing any issues with your commercial or residential garage door during the winter months, call Cameron Hall and his team at Doors Plus. Don't be trapped outside in the cold because of a poorly maintained garage door. Call Doors Plus today at 402-590-5800 or visit them online at doorsplusllc.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rolling right into and in through hour two of On the Block. Austin Norman and Erick Strickland with you for another half an hour or so here on the show. Following us, we got Old School from 4 to 6 with DP and Jay Foreman. Before we get into NBA All-Star Weekend, I do want to give a shout out to Nebraska softball's Sydney Gray. She was named the co-Big Ten Player of the Week, second time in her career. First time was back in February of 2022. Sydney Gray, 5 for 16 over the weekend at the Troy Cox Classic, 3 home runs, 10 runs driven in, slugged .875, did not commit an error in 19 chances at third base. So big congrats to Sydney Gray being named Big Ten Softball Co-Player of the Week. All right, Stricky, we've been saving this. Been getting you charged up, getting you revved up, getting you ready to go. NBA All-Star Weekend. We've talked about fixes. We've talked about ideas for what needs to be done. Stricky, the All-Star game itself had a final score of 211 to 186. That is 397 combined points, and you loved watching every single one of them. I can just tell.
That I didn't. But let's be honest. Like, it's not even the same anymore. Like, did you even watch it? Like, I couldn't even watch it, Austin. It was just like, it to me, it felt like it was going down to the rec center and watching a bunch of old guys just, mill around and just wanted to get a little run and get a little bump. And yes, there's some skilled guys there, and they're skilled and they're good at what they do, but it was a bunch of they could have just gotten wheelchairs and look, I'm not making deference to wheelchair basketball. I'm just basically saying that you could have just did that. If you didn't want to do the work, you didn't want to play, you don't want to compete, then cancel the doggone thing. Like the skills challenge, the dunk contest consisted of a whole bunch of G League guys. The 3-point shooting contest, now there's controversy on whether or not she shouldn't have shot from the 3, and people are being canceled because they thought she should have shot from her. It's a bunch of craziness that's associated with it. Probably good to get all the guys together. It was good to see Jermaine O'Neal and a lot of my former Pacer teammates. They got together because it was at their home and stuff like that. Tyrese Halliburton obviously was there. But good gosh, 200, come on, bro. Like, that's not even fun to watch. It's not. It's bad.
No, it absolutely is. I mean, it was throw the ball up from the 3-point line. Okay, now it's your turn. Okay, now it's my turn. Okay, now it's your turn. For being a celebration of the best that the NBA has to offer, I think we saw the worst the NBA has to offer taken really to its logical extreme for 48 minutes, Strick.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder about it. Like something I would possibly do to try to alleviate some of this foolishness, cancel the game. Just cancel the whole thing and move your in-season tournament to the All-Star break. Just do that. Just make it regular games. Start in December or whatever, and start your run up, whatever you want to do, your group play, and just use the games, and then culminate it with the in-season tournament. Because it's not bad. I mean, if you're trying to get ratings and you're trying to get a new TV deal, don't nobody want that. That's a bad taste in your mouth watching that. If you're a casual fan and you're just really kind of stumbling on basketball, or you're just wanting to watch it as just showing up and there's nothing really else on TV at this point in time, and you wanted to watch something interesting, that's garbage. It was garbage to me.
Oh, I'm with you. And I think plenty of other people agreed. I mean, the ratings for the game itself were terrible. And all weekend too, Strick, right? It culminates in the game, right? It's the last thing. It's supposed to be the main event. That's not good. The dunk contest, I don't care who competes in it. Yeah, you'd like to have stars and have headliners, which is why I think even a guy at the level of Jaylen Brown, who's a number 2 option for the Celtics, we know he has some bounce. He has some name. He has some staying power. His participation is good and fine. I don't hate Mac McClung or Jacob Toppin for being in it, but it's lost its luster, right? It feels like we've kind of maxed out on what we can do with dunks. 3-point shootout, good for Dame going back to back, but I think that isn't nearly as interesting. I think the Steph Sabrina thing was good until people, made it controversial when it didn't have to be necessarily. Like Sabrina said, she wanted to shoot from the NBA line. Okay, end of story. That's where it is.
That's
right
it.
there. Yeah. That's it. And even the skills challenge, like the most competitive part of All-Star Weekend is the celebrity game.
Friday night was the best part of it. I know. Micah Parsons, that whole crew, CJ Stroud getting busy. Like, that was dope for me. I'm like, oh, okay. I was more interested in that. And you're absolutely right, Austin. That's why you're my partner.
We on the same page. But
I mean, in that instance, like, I'll come against you on fuck few days, but we on the same page.
We are. But Strick, I think the NFL learned that lesson, right? That's why they turned it into flag football, right? No one's going to watch anyways. Let's at least let the grown-ups have some fun with it, right? Major League Baseball still plays the game. It's kind of hard to do, exhibition baseball such as it is. But you saw all sorts of other suggestions, right? I like yours of the in-season tournament, right? At least put the championship game over the All-Star break, lead up to it, something like that. Maybe a one-on-one tournament would get the juices flowing a little bit more, have
1v1.
Right. Have two sides of the court going at the same time with matchups.
Implement the big three.
Big three.
You know what I'm saying? Implement the big three. Take the leading all-star on a certain team. Okay, so basically you have 5, just add one more guy, and you have a big 3 minimal tournament for some money, for some cash.
Cash over.
What's up? Now that's competitive. Let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, go ahead. What else?
It's a joke at this point, right? You need a break in the middle of the season. The wear and tear, the grind of the travel, and especially if going all out, right? Without the load management, the sitting out games, that the toll it takes on an NBA body.
Stockton, 82 game. Correct. 82. Jordan, 82. Stop it. Malone, dang near 82. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? This load management. I don't even want to hear that foolishness no more. Guys, and they still competed. They got to the All-Star game. That was when they got to the Magic and Jordan and those guys from the East and the West, Bird. They looked at each other like, yeah, now it's my time to play with MJ. Now it's my time to bust your A over on the other side. You know what I mean? And they competed. Kobe didn't let this. Like, if Kobe was still around, Kobe's not going for that foolishness. He would be looking at them from the sideline like, what the heck y'all doing? Like, he would be looking at them crazy. There's no one to look at him crazy.
No.
You super flop. Look, there's a song out there right now, Austin. I don't know if you know about it. There's a man by the name of Rick James. She's a super freak. Right? Rick James, super freak.
Yeah.
I'm calling LeBron James from now on super flop. Super flop. So super flop can't look nobody in the face and say, let's get after it, my boy, because all of them homeboys and friends and fanboys of each other.
Yeah, that's just the thing, right? It used to be putting on a show in front of the other best players, right? Hey, I'm going to raise my level when I'm around these guys because this is my chance to, make a name for myself, to show that I can compete with this guy, right? Maybe he has better role players around him, but I'm just every bit the star that he is. And we didn't see that, right? It's going through the motions. It's quiet. It's timid. It's almost too relaxed, which is where if you're not going to put enough money on the line, you're not going to change the format of how the game is going to be played, I'm with you. Cancel it. Clearly, trying to get the All-Stars to play a regular basketball game isn't working. Take a year or two, readjust, figure something out, because this is bad.
Super bad. And I'm not talking about the movie.
Yeah.
Super bad. And I don't like it. It was so uninteresting to me that I literally didn't watch it. Not fully. I peeked at it. You know, I saw the way they're running and the way
they are running.
The way they were, you know, they were just kind of doing this, going up and down, and you know, yeah. When I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, no, that ain't gonna work for me.
No,
211 points. Like how? What? That tells you there was no defense in the game.
211 to 186. Jason Tatum MVP with 55 points. Shocker, another all-star record, I believe, for the points scored. Yeah. So
is it really a record? Like I wouldn't even want to claim that record. Like real talk, I wouldn't even want it.
I get you. I'm with you. Brad on the text line says, even the voting is stupid. People who don't play all year still somehow make the all-star game. The voting, I get why they changed it, right? You want to have the fan engagement. It's supposed to be a fan-driven event. So they get 50% of the vote. You get the coaches vote, or the players vote, and then the media vote as well. There's no perfect way to do all-star voting. I get why the NBA did what it did, but the voting isn't the problem, right? You still got the best players, for the most part, named all-stars. I think there are a lot of guys who had a good argument down the ballot. The stars were there, but the stars didn't play like stars. They didn't compete like stars, right? That's the part. It's not competitive, and that's fine, but if it's not going to be competitive, don't give us the illusion then that it should be competitive if you don't care enough.
That's a fact. Simple as that. You know, just throw it in the trash. How do you feel? Do you retain or throw it in the trash? 402-464-5685. Just say trash or keep in the text line. I would love to hear from you guys, because if you thought it was trash, tell Stricky it was trash, because it was trash to me.
I want to throw this out there too, Strick. I'm team trash with you. I saw this tweet from Kirk Goldsberry. He's an author that I follow on Twitter, does a lot with NBA, some of the statistical aspect of it, really good graphics. Strick, this year, the Cleveland Cavaliers have the number 15 offense out of 30 in the NBA. 2 years ago, their number would have led the league, which is kind of crazy to think about just how big of a jump it's taken. But the more mind-blowing stat is we talk about just how prevalent offense is in the All-Star game. The entire league is going through a scoring boom. Think about that Warriors team, Strick, that went 73-9. Okay, broke the Jordan Bulls single season, regular season wins record. They had the best offense in the league at that point. If you take their offensive rating and carry it over to this year, that 73-9 Warriors team with Steph, Klay, KD, Draymond, that crew would be 21st in offensive rating this year. Just, 15, 16. That's 8-9 years ago. Led the league. And now they're ranked 21st behind the Raptors, who don't care and aren't playing. This is whack. It's out of control. It's too far.
It's gone way too far, and it needs to stop. The foolishness. I think I can't remember if I texted you guys and I said this is some foolishness. Like,
yeah.
Come on, man. You can't help but to laugh or crying. And if I'm Adam Silver, I'm crying right now.
Well, you could tell in the post-game Strick, he didn't want to be there. Like, he wasn't happy with it. Well, you guys scored more points. Here's your trophy, I guess. Yeah. Adam Silver knows something's wrong, but if that's the approach the commissioner is taking, like, Adam Silver sounded like a disappointed dad. It was really, really funny. We have 3 texts for trash or keep. Brad says trash. 9776 says trash. And Riley W, all caps, trash. The whole thing is a lie.
Mm-hmm. There it is. Thank you, guys. Right. Thank you, guys.
Eat Strick. I'm Austin. We'll go to break, wrap up on the block, get you set up for old school next.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Clear skies expected tonight as we'll drop down to an overnight low of around 29. More incredible February warmth on the way tomorrow. An afternoon high of around 66 degrees. It will be breezy again. West-southwest winds gusting over 20, close to 25 miles per hour at times. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue. It's $5.99 barbecue time. Hurry to Hog Wild for a complete barbecue meal that's only $5.99. Get a one-meat sandwich loaded with our award-winning barbecue, plus your choice of a classic side and drink for just $5.99. Upgrade your sandwich to beef brisket for just $1 more. Join us for lunch or dinner in Lincoln at 3210 Cornhusker Highway. Order online at GoHogWild.com.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
Empower a life today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Change is only a conversation away when you choose to share your wisdom, time, and heart with a young mind. Together, we can craft a brighter future, one child at a time. Ignite a spark of hope and be someone's guiding light. Find out more about becoming a mentor by visiting teammates.org. Become a beacon of change by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Wednesday, February 21st versus the Columbus Fury at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 5 p.m. with first serve at 6. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Service Ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Fairway has fresh cut meats, seafood, cheese, wine and spirits, and a friendly staff that's always ready to help find what you need. Stop by Fairway Meat Market today to plan your weekly meals. Located in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Problem gambling is not just a financial issue. It's an emotional problem with financial consequences. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yeah, man.
We're back one final time here during On the Block. Austin Norman, Erick Strickland, joined now by Jay Foreman. Strick, your boy Superflop's biggest defender's in the room now.
Yeah, Superflop's biggest defender.
Yeah.
Why you Strick, man? We just off of All-Star break. Why you hating on Bron?
Man, what you talking about, my boy? Superflop. Not Super Freak, Superflop.
Yeah, Superflop.
Yeah, that's his name.
Hey, give him a break.
Man, listen, I said it just like this. Hold on. Yeah. I said it like this. When I talk about this whole all-star situation, if you're the leader, one of the leaders of the NBA, as LeBron is on his way out, if Kobe was alive, RIP, Kobe Bryant, Bean Bryant, there's no way he's sitting on that bench looking at that foolishness and is cool with it. I guarantee you he's looking at each of them like, are y'all MF serious right now? Oh,
I'm sure he would be.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why I say Superflop, because if you're him,
so you blaming LeBron for what grown men do?
If you're the leader of the, if you're a leader, you get people to move behind you, right?
He could probably get some, but you ain't gonna get all of them.
Okay,
but I do understand what you're saying. I do understand it. I just think, you even see the same thing in the NFL in the Pro Bowl, where there's not even a Pro Bowl anymore.
No.
And you got to protect yourself the amount of money that they're making, but
Cap. I stop right there, Jay. Cap. Yeah. Because all the other guys, they competed. They played more games. They didn't have load management. You're making all that money. This should be a requirement for you. Like, put on a show.
Right. Like, I wouldn't. There's a way. You know this, Strick. There's a way to play good basketball without disrespecting the game.
Right.
So I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily agreeing that just because LeBron says something. I would like to see more than just LeBron say something. I would like to see Kobe or, guys like that. The upper echelon guys take the lead. Say, listen, man, we owe it to the fans. We at least gotta, it's just like the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
They dilly-dally around, but come fourth quarter, they playing. It's no different. So, I'm agreeing with you. I think it's slowly trended this way. I think that it's the change of a majority of the athletes. I think in the big change, in my opinion, it's no different than the football team or kids getting recruited in high school, trying to go to college. I think being cool is as or maybe more important than being your best. And what I mean by that is they don't really respect the game. They don't respect the work. They don't respect what it takes, because they, really, to be honest with you, in some ways you can't fault them, right? You can call it entitlement or just a situation. Things have changed, right? Where, I would beg to differ that when you went in the NBA, you knew what the guys did before you. I had to know because I grew up with them. So I was never going to go out there and disrespect the game. But sometimes when these guys are so well compensated for doing less work, it's like, how dare you ask them to do what they're paid to do? And it's in football, it's in a lot of sports. Heck, if you even want to, it's even with the live golf thing. Like the golf has been an individual. What you eat it comes from what you kill. All of a sudden now you want to be paid like you want an appearance fee or like you're on a team. Yeah. That's essentially what they're trying to do. So I think it's just a change of expectations, changing society. Now that doesn't make it right, and there's nothing. And really, I'll go along with you, Strick, where not only LeBron is the biggest iconic figure, KD, Steph, all of them. Even if you have like Draymond, and it doesn't have to be guys there, because Draymond gets as much respect as anybody, or guys that are very,
even like the old heads, whether it's Jordan showing up, Magic, heck, Jordan, he's sponsoring some of these guys, so he's in the league, Shaq, and address everybody. So this is the deal. We understand, like, we're not asking you to go out here diving on floors.
Right.
Right. But there's a way to go out there and not disrespect the game. The whole thing with Luka and Joker doing that type of stuff, like you just out there looking silly. But I think it's just been a change over time. It's been allowed, and it's even higher than LeBron. Because here's what I will tell you. David Stern wouldn't be letting on that.
Heck no.
Now, I would tell you David Stern wasn't going to bat for the players like Adam Silver. So that's where you get it. But I think as far as the Players Association, they need to have a real sit down about face. You got good leadership of guys that didn't make the NBA All-Star, like Chris Paul. He's well respected in a lot of ways. You don't have to be a star player to be respected. I do think they need to make a change, and because there's a lot of eyes going there, and it's like it's not even. I know I didn't really tune in.
I didn't. Yeah,
I mean, it might be hard with the slam dunk contest because that's a little bit more risky because you could have a landing and stuff like that. So I can understand. If you're not going to have NBA players in it and the pride about it, then you might as well just do away with it.
Let's pause for station. Oh, sorry.
I'd almost rather see the celebrity game, see who can really actually hoop.
That's what I like,
right? Mm-hmm. And then have the NBA, and I like the futures game too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Station identification, Austin.
Let's do it.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Yeah, the futures game is fun. I think that's the different too, because they split it up into different teams, right? Yeah. And kind of compete against each other in kind of a mini tournament style. Ben Matherin, talking smack to Paulo and then missing both free throws is absolutely incredible to me. But Jay, your boy, Slew-footed Slayer, CJ Stroud still got it.
The hooper out there in Cali. One thing I'd like to see Strick to incorporate it to maybe, up the level of competition. I think you just if you're going to make it an all-star weekend, have an NBA D-League all-star game too. Give them the pro. These guys, you know what I'm saying? Make it all inclusive. Maybe have their stuff on like Friday, and it could be a shortened game and stuff like that. But yeah, Strick, you're 100% on point. This, and this is right in your wheelhouse. Obviously, you're the expert. Where the NBA players, as a whole, need to do better, and they should know better. But ultimately, I would argue with a lot of them play like that during the season.
Yeah, and that's crazy. But one thing you just made a point of, Jay, is this. One of the issues that the NBA is having is I think they've lost their way of rivals.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Where even though you had stars, you had guys that resided on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't leave because they were like, I'm trying to bust yo.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna build myself until I get in. But then you have guys, look, I'm not gonna say free agency is what it is. You can go and do whatever you want to do and decide to go wherever you want to go. This is why you have some of these guys like LeBron. This is why I respect Dirk. This is why I respect Giannis. This is why I respect even Steph. Steph ain't went nowhere. He like it's going down in the Golden State for me. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know what else y'all got going on. I'm gonna take my lumps. My Willie lumps, and I'm gonna bust you and lump you upside the head when it's my time. You know what I mean? But what I would say is that's where they lost their way, Jay. I think they lost their way when they lost the matchups.
Right.
Where it was Lakers Celtics, it was Knicks Bulls, it was Heat Knicks, it was and they was fighting, scrapping, getting after it. And they don't have that anymore.
Yeah, I think that
wait, one more point.
Go ahead.
This is why I like what you said. That's why I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
The reason is because now the rising stars you don't have.
Right.
You try to give it to John Morant. You tried to usher it all over to Zion, and none of them is taken.
Right.
The helms have been taken by the foreigners. Those who Jokic's and Giannis's and Embiid's and you know what I mean? So that's why I think there's been
another thing, Strick, is that these guys play so many games at a young age,
Yeah.
and that's great, right? It is, because that's how you get better. You know that playing basketball is that's how you got to play to get better. But what it does is it lowers the competition. Like, I want to beat you, because you know what, they even in like I think it starts all the way down in the club and high school level.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because these guys play so many games, the losses don't sting. They don't.
Good point.
Because I hear some of these kids talking about, like, they'll tell another kid, you care too much. No, you don't care enough. Because when you play that many games in the summer and they're buddies, because they go to these camps, they're buddies whether they're playing on the court, for the game 7 or whatever it is. It doesn't change when they go on the court, right? And that's the problem. And then when they get to the NBA, they're all buddies, because everybody they're all they're making a ton of money. They're getting a lot of exposure. They're making money off the court, which is different than when you played and guys before you played, where it was like that was their time in those 82 games. Where now it's like these guys are relevant year round. They're going to SB parties and all this other stuff. You got Westbrook and James Harden going over to Fashion Week over at like Paris. These guys are out there expanding her rightfully so. But I don't think the competitive nature is there, and I don't think the want for a team to be successful is there in any of the sports to the magnitude that it could be, considering what they have. You got to think. These guys have better trainers, more science. I mean, the things that you went through as an NBA player is part of a database that some trainers and physical therapists are able to use to keep these guys more healthy, make them bigger, faster, stronger. They're in weight programs a lot earlier, right? And they're doing specific workouts for them. So it's like, they got everything, but they don't understand where it's at. It's almost like in another sport, Emmitt Smith dressed down the Dallas Cowboys. And it was very interesting what he said. He said he's tired of hearing about the Cowboys. Every year he's hearing about the Cowboys. And he's saying everything that they have in Jerry's world is based off what they did back when the triplets were going. And the guys on the team don't respect the game. And it's not just the players, right? Because Mike Zimmer's a defensive coordinator. It don't matter who their coach is. It really don't. It's a top on down type of thing. So when you think of the NBA, professional sports, the standard that they're allowing to go by, so be it. And a lot of these guys have enough. They have enough power to say, well, look, man, my body's broke down. Kawhi is able to make decisions best for him. And I do think his injuries are probably a little bit more significant than what people give him credit for. But then also I think a lot of times that guys are just saying, I'm only going to play when I'm, close to 100%. And that's just not sports. It's not competitive sports. I mean, and so I think, you like players that have power, right? To be able to, go to bat for themselves. But then also, what do you do with it? And I think it's always it's a personal choice, and there's a lot of personal choices, in my opinion, that they've chosen to go out there and lollygag around. It's not even nowhere close to what we used to watch
at all.
Stricky, it's been fun. Appreciate you, my guy. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Mañana
indeed. Jay, quick thoughts on what's coming up on Old School.
We're going to talk a little bit of NBA action. We'll talk about NFL draft. The combine is coming up very quickly. The Dallas Cowboys hired Mike Zimmer. So talk about just where San Francisco's at. More stuff is starting to come out about Steve Wilkes, how it got to that point. There was a series there was a overtime series where you knew it was over. So forth and so on.
There we go. That'll be Old School with DP and Jay. For Strick, I'm Austin. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
K9 Design in Lincoln reminds drivers to drive with the 3 C's of safety: caution, courtesy, and common sense. When a car hits a car, it's an accident. When a car hits a child, it's a tragedy. Safe driving is every driver's responsibility. K9 Design offers quality dog grooming and retail store for your fur baby. Set up an appointment at 402-465-8760. They're located at 1401 North 56th Street. The staff at K9 Design cares about the safety of your 2-leg and 4-leg kids.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Empower a life today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Change is only a conversation away when you choose to share your wisdom, time, and heart with a young mind. Together, we can craft a brighter future, one child at a time. Ignite a spark of hope and be someone's guiding light. Find out more about becoming a mentor by visiting teammates.org. Become a beacon of change by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Wednesday, February 21st versus the Columbus Fury at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 5 p.m. with first serve at 6. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends.